And I would like to introduce Alyssa Johnson, who is the Outreach and Program Coordinator for the Community Science Institute in Ithaca. And she's going to talk to us about what this Community Science Institute, I'm sorry, does, and maybe some citizen scientist opportunities that can be related to the CSI. So welcome, Alyssa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's get this pulled up here. And I just want to make sure, can you just see, you can't see my notes, right?
No, we can just see the presentation.
Great. Before I get started, I just want to ask that everyone please make sure that you are muted. I don't mind if you stay on video, but please do mute yourselves just in case there's any background noise going on your end. So thank you for the introduction, Nancy and Toy. Thank you for your help getting logged on tonight. And thank you to the Association OWLA for inviting us this evening. I know that our Executive Director, Grayson Shadamantle, was invited at first, and she has a packed schedule this week. But luckily, we are both well informed about what we do at Community Science Institute. And so I was happy to step in and offer this presentation this evening. So the presentation, Community Science for Clean Water, Engaging, Educating, and Empowering. And I included this beautiful picture I took at Great Gully last summer, I think I took this. If anyone's been there, it's a wonderful hike and beautiful couple of waterfalls to visit. So this evening, I'm going to go through, introduce you to CSI. If you are unfamiliar with us, I'll give you a good rundown of what we do, talk about some of our monitoring programs and our database, as well as our general public drinking water analysis and testing that we do in our lab, and then our outreach and education opportunities that we have. Also like to say, feel free to ask questions during the presentation, and then there will be an opportunity at the end as well. But I don't mind if you think of a question you want to ask in the chat, or if you want to do the raise hand thing or just pop in, I don't mind. So Community Science Institute, we are a nonprofit, and we're also an ELAP certified, a New York State Department of Health, ELAP certified water testing lab, and we're located in Ithaca near the Ithaca Airport. And I have some notes here because I can never remember what ELAP stands for, but I'm going to tell you. It stands for the Environmental Laboratory Approval Program of the Wadsworth Center. So this is in Albany, and this is basically our accreditation that makes us a certified water testing lab. The results of our water tests could be used in litigation. They have weight to them. Not just anybody can do it. Our lab analysts are certified. There's a lot of control with the instruments that are used, with the different chemicals and reagents that are used. It's a really strict and stringent ship that we run, but we have to, and it's a great service that we can provide. Our mission, this is newly written and adopted last year. We had a mission, but it didn't truly incorporate all that CSI does. And so with the staff and our board of directors, we tossed around a lot of ideas, and this is what we came up with. It was voted on and approved, I believe in November of last year. So our mission is to inspire and empower communities to safeguard water resources by cultivating scientific literacy through volunteer water quality monitoring, certified laboratory analyses, and education. Basically, we want to empower and advocate community members to become data literate and to understand what's going on with their drinking water and in the environment around them with water quality. We live in an area with an abundance of fresh water. I think many of us, myself included, take it for granted that we can almost step out of our probably many of us step out of our door, throw a rock, and it could land in a creek or a stream. We can drive 2 minutes and see a waterfall or a lake, a Finger Lake or a Great Lake. We are surrounded by so much fresh water, but we want people to understand what clean, potable water means and what many other things that we are testing and analyzing, surface water or environmental water, for what all those things mean. And I'll talk more about that as we get into the monitoring. We have kind of three facets of programming within CSI: our volunteer water monitoring partnerships, our outreach and education, and then our fee-for-service water testing. This is like a business within CSI. We are a nonprofit, but this is a business, and this is what pretty much runs this is our bread and butter. This is what allows us to do a lot of things that don't generate revenue or don't come in with revenue. This is our staff. Grayson Scheidemantel is our executive director, and Noah Mark is our laboratory director, and then all the rest of us. Of the 9 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us are full-time. So we have a very small staff, but we are supported by hundreds of volunteers and our board of directors. Next thing I'd like to share with you tonight is about our monitoring programs and our database. So this is a map. This is not what we're doing currently today. This is kind of more of a historical map of where we've been, either where we're monitoring today or in the past. So our monitoring programs include the synoptic stream and lake monitoring, biomonitoring, and the harmful algal bloom monitoring. So synoptic stream and lake, that is where volunteers go out. This is within the Cayuga Lake watershed. Volunteers are assigned, they're in teams, and they're assigned to the same sites. They go out and collect samples 3 times a year. And synoptic meaning we're getting kind of a snapshot in time. One of our volunteers, I think we have a picture coming up in a minute, he's been monitoring since the very beginning, the first creek, I believe it was Fall Creek, since 2002. He's been monitoring that creek ever since. And we've added other creeks and streams as the years have gone by. Biomonitoring, also known as biological monitoring, is the use of macroinvertebrates, also known as stream bugs, that live underneath rocks, that are stuck to rocks, little tiny guys that can tell us a lot about the health and wellness of a water body. And then I'm going to assume that probably everybody knows what a harmful algal bloom is, but just in case you don't, this is an unfortunate phenomenon that popped up in the Finger Lakes roughly 15 to 20 years ago. It's a surface scum that is made up of cyanobacteria. It's not actually algae. I'll talk more about this later. I'm going to go into more depth about all of these in just a minute, but I actually oversee our monitoring program on Cayuga Lake. I should say, let me just back up. Biomonitoring is not done just within the Cayuga Lake watershed. You probably can't see in this map picture because the detail is so fine, but there's little bugs that represent where we have done biomonitoring in the past, and it's throughout the Seneca Lake watershed, over in the Owasco Lake watershed, and I'm going to zoom in on that later to show you where. So that biomonitoring has kind of been throughout the Finger Lakes. Harmful algal bloom monitoring, there are monitoring programs throughout the Finger Lakes, but we, CSI, only oversee the Cayuga Lake monitoring program. And then there's other projects as needed or as interest arise. We did have a 4th program that we just kind of retired, put to bed at the end of 2024. This is our red flag monitoring program. This was born from the threat of hydrofracking. And just a quick little story, in Pennsylvania where hydrofracking was happening, homeowners were turning on their faucets and pouring themselves a glass of water that was absolutely foul. Some people could even light their tap water on fire because of the methane gas coming out. And when they'd collect this water and bring it to the gas company and say, what are you going to do about this? You've ruined our drinking water. The gas company said, how do we know it wasn't like that before? So preemptively, it was a threat in New York State. This is back in 2010, 2009, 2010. CSI volunteers were very concerned and started banding together to go out and start taking tons of samples to get a baseline of what our surface water looked like if hydrofracking happened to take hold. Thankfully, there's been a moratorium, a permanent moratorium. It is banned. It is not going to happen. And that is part of the reason, it was a big reason as to why we finally retired the red flag monitoring program. This was a stream side monitoring program, so samples did not come to our lab. Volunteers used stream side, Lamont, the little blue Lamont kits that you may have used in high school or college science classes, or if you work with kids. But they do their monitoring or their testing right next to the stream, so the results were not certified, but they followed a strict protocol, so the data was pretty useful in the context of getting a good baseline of water quality health. However, with the threat of hydrofracking no longer looming over us, we decided to phase this program out, especially because the harmful algal bloom issue on Cayuga Lake was like none other last year for us. And so with other programs ramping up, we had to phase something else out. I see I got a question in the chat and asked what lake associations partner with CSI. We have a close relationship with the Cayuga Lake Watershed Network. They are a close partner of ours with specifically the harmful algal bloom monitoring program. They do a lot of outreach and like community communication on our behalf to help get the word out about where blooms are occurring. A lot of outreach. We also work very closely with Seneca Lake Pure Waters Association. They run a synoptic program, so very similar to what we do with, it's the exact same protocol, collecting samples from streams and creeks and the lake, but then they bring them to us for the analysis. Okay. Oh, yeah, so here's that picture. David here on the left has been monitoring Fall Creek for a very long time. Very dedicated volunteer. So the purpose of this program is to produce regulatory quality data that can be used by different management agencies like the New York State DEC, like the New York State Department of Health, in different policy or regulatory decisions that they're making, as well as keeping the public informed on the health of their local streams and creeks. There is a list of about 12 or 13 different assays or tests that the samples are subjected to when they get back to the lab, but this is a short list. We do nutrient testing, sediment, bacteria, looking for things like total coliform and E. coli, salts, pH, conductivity. So they get a pretty thorough workover, which can tell us a lot of information about the health of the creek or stream. But it's really just a snapshot about what is occurring on that day. It's not kind of a long-term, what the water collected on that day tells us what's going on that day. It doesn't really give us an indication of what the water quality is like last week or 3 weeks ago, because water is so quickly moving in a stream or a creek. It's synoptic, a snapshot. And this was just a cool picture I wanted to share with you that I put together last year, almost to the day. April 4th, I took this picture. This is at Fall Creek, Ithaca Falls. The top picture was what we call a stormwater event. Volunteers in the synoptic program collect 3 samples throughout the year. 2 are considered at base flow. So the bottom picture on May 3rd, that would be base flow, just your normal everyday kind of low normal flow rate. And then 1 stormwater event. So stormwater can also be like snow or ice melt. So our first sampling event of this year was actually on February 28th, because there was a big melt and rain event like a day or two before that. And we had some volunteers who were like, we want to get out there and get it done with, because we have some teams that are like, it's like the story of the grasshopper and the ant. They're like, we'll wait till later in the season when it's warmer out to collect our, we'll wait for a storm later in the season. But if you all think about what the weather's like in August, September, October, it can be very dry, and we might not have a heavy rain event for weeks or months. So we really encourage our volunteers to get this stormwater event out of the way in the spring when there's plenty of opportunity and creeks and streams are high. This gives us a good idea of what the runoff is coming, what it's in the runoff coming off the land into the creeks and streams, and then eventually that makes its way into the lake. Things like pesticides, pollutants, fertilizers, other toxins that, who knows, oils, gasoline, things like that. Anything that could end up in a parking lot, in a driveway or road, an agricultural field, makes its way into the creeks, streams, and then the lake. And then, of course, all the samples, there's some sample bottles there. They're collected and brought back to the lab. Another question from Dana, does CSI provide the sampling containers? Yes, we do. That's part of the program. And there's specific, part of our certification is that the bottles are a control. So for example, if we're doing E. coli testing, we need to make sure that we're handing our volunteers, sterilized bottles, because if we're not, and then we're analyzing water that came out of that bottle and it tests, there's a presence of bacteria, who's to say where that bacteria came from? So we have an autoclave at our lab, and so we're able to sterilize those bottles, and so it's very specific. We don't expect a volunteer to have an autoclave on their kitchen counter, with their toaster oven or their, whatever, their other appliances. So, and then not only the quality of the bottles, but the size of the bottles. So let me go back. All right, let me go back here. This bigger bottle here, that's a 1 liter bottle. And for a lot of the testing, we need a certain volume of water. So, if we said, grab 2 bottles and go out and collect water, who knows what that would look like? A Poland Spring bottle, a 5-gallon, a milk jug, like who knows? So we provide the bottles. All right, I got one more. I thought I had one more question. Oh, I don't see it. Okay, let me move on. Biomonitoring or biological monitoring. So this is a really fun one. It's the one that kids love to get involved with because you get wet. This is not one that's done, well, there's kind of 2 parts to this. The fun sample collection part is done during the summer because you're getting into the creeks. You're gonna get your feet wet. And so this is when we're looking for these little stream bugs. Those 2 smaller pictures in the center, that's my hand, and I'm holding in one picture, I can't quite see it on the left. I think that's either a stonefly or a mayfly larva. And then on the other hand, if you know what that is in my other hand there, the bigger bug, put it in the chat. I'd be interested to know if anybody knows what it is. Once I'm done talking about this slide, I'll come back and tell you what it is. But so the one half of the program is the actual sample collection during the summer. And then in the winter months, the samples are all preserved. They're fixed in alcohol, ethanol. And in the wintertime, volunteers are invited to the lab. Actually, tonight is the last one for the season. It's called Open Lab Night. And volunteers sort through the samples with our biomonitoring program coordinator, Adriana Hertler, and categorized. This is a really cool program because, I don't want to jump ahead. This can give us a longer term idea of the health and wellness of a stream or creek, because these insects have longer lives. For some of them, sometimes up to a year. And so their presence can tell us a lot. I'll get more into detail. I don't see anybody. Oh, one just came through. Ann Clark, right. Odonate. Very good. And I think Anne, are you Grayson's former professor? I think you might be. Oh, and Stonefly. Okay, great. Thank you. It's just a little small. I can't quite see it. And yeah, so that is a dragonfly larva. Can you believe that? That's what a dragonfly looks like. They start out aquatic and they live underwater, and then one day they decide, I'm gonna crawl out onto a stem of a plant and my wings are gonna come out and now I'm terrestrial. It blows my mind. But it's really fun. No experience is necessary. You just gotta show up and be willing to learn. And we incorporate this program into our Journey of Water youth education series during the summer. So we really do get kids involved. So the purpose is to determine ecological, the ecological and long-term health of streams while talking about biodiversity. The biodiversity, so not only the presence of these, the actual term is benthic macroinvertebrates. So benthic meaning living at or existing at the bottom, and then macroinvertebrates meaning big enough to see with your naked eye, and then invertebrate lacking a spine. So I don't want to say insects because not all of them are insects, but generally stream bugs that live at the bottom of a creek or a stream. We have things like crayfish and leeches, other worms, snails, those kinds of things do fall into that category as well. And they're not insects, but we kind of just generally say stream bugs. So we are, after all of the sample collection is done during the summer, and then in the winter time, there is some really fancy and it's not that complicated, but it's out of my wheelhouse because this is, I haven't done this since college, but there are some formulas that you after counting and separating out these macroinvertebrates by family. So we've got Ephemeroptera, which are the mayflies, Plecoptera, which are the stoneflies, and Trichoptera, which are the caddisflies. Those are kind of the three indicator families. The kind of analogy I like to use is stream bugs are kind of like the canaries in the coal mine. If you're familiar with that I don't know, that little like that story. Canaries are small birds that are very sensitive to carbon monoxide. So miners, when they were down in mines, uh, carbon monoxide is a scentless, odorless, tasteless, you can't detect it at all. So they would be down in these mines and it would be very dangerous to them. So they'd bring these little birds down, and when these birds would start to croak or get very ill, they would know, oh, it's time to go back up. They were an indicator. That's what these little bugs are kind of like, an indicator to tell us how, healthy the stream and creek are. So we plug all these numbers into different formulas. There's 4 different formulas we use, and then that gives us our final numbers. So we're looking at total family richness, EPT richness, which is the Ephemeroptera, Plecoptera, and Trichoptera, family biotic index, and then percent model affinity. There's not going to be a quiz tonight, so don't worry. And then at the end of that, we get our biological assessment profile. And that is a number. I don't think maybe I'll go back to that. That is a number that will tell us kind of it's one number that will tell us the impact of the stream. I got a visual. Hang on just a second. So I wanted to talk about past biomonitoring because this is some of our monitoring that has been done in your watershed. South of the lake, down in Fillmore Glen State Park, the most recent was one biomonitoring event that was, I think, asked for or requested by the Groton Elementary School, and that was back in 2021. But before that, there was a more thorough sampling event that went on one summer that was a partnership between us and Fillmore Glen State Park staff. And that was all both in 2021 and 2018 in Fillmore Glen Creek. So here are those sites. So up in the upper left-hand corner, that's downstream. So this is the below the swim area at Fillmore Glen State Park. And then I know the type is very small, but it had to be small to fit all these sites into one image. We've got site 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then all the way up to 10, moving upstream down in the lower right-hand corner. Looks like I got a question or a comment. Do you try to compare the types and densities of the stream bugs year to year? We don't always monitor at the exact same places every single year. I'm not quite sure why not. That is a good question for Adriana, our monitoring coordinator. Because the lifespan of these invertebrates is relatively long, given the size of them, it gives us a good kind of idea, over a length of time, how healthy the streamer creek is. So we don't have to monitor it super frequently. That's part of it, I think. So doing the same exact site year after year isn't maybe the best use of our resources, unless there was some kind of impact, like a new farm field was cleared, or there was new development done, or a dam was removed or put in, or some kind of development or disturbance that might warrant a sampling event. There might be some locations that Adriana does go to time after, like year after year. I'm not sure though. So if anyone is interested in talking to her more about this, I'd be happy to connect you. She did say that this biomonitoring program is one that we could potentially get started in the Owasco watershed, if there are volunteers and people interested in getting involved. It's a really nice kind of one and done type of volunteer event. It's not like the synoptic monitoring, because you don't need to sign up to do it over and over and over. You could come, say it's on July 13th, come help collect sample that day, and then there's nothing else. There's no follow-up. Of course, in the wintertime, when it's time to process the samples, you're welcome to come and assist with that. But helping with the sample collections in the watershed is it's really fun, and it's not too much. It's not a huge burden to sign up for. Have you noted less mayflies the past 10 to 20 years? Seems like less mayflies by Owasco. Honestly, I'm not one to speak on that. I have not analyzed the data. I am much more familiar with the trends of the harmful algal blooms on Cayuga Lake, because that's the data that I look at all the time. But we can look at, let me keep going here, because we're going to look at a little bit of data. It's not going to be over time. It's going to be from 2018, but it'll give us a little bit of information. And the raw data, we could look at individual families of the Plecoptera, Trichoptera, or Ephemeroptera, and kind of see what the numbers are looking like. But in the final number, we are not singling out a single group of a certain taxa. They're all kind of lumped together. So this biological assessment profile, or the BAP, is the final number after combining total family richness, family biotic index, EPT richness, and percent model affinity. Each of these metrics is converted to a value from 0 to 10 using an equation, and then the 4 values are averaged, and this average number represents the overall water quality of the sampling location. So here's the data from 2018, and I just want to show you that, here we go. This is the scale that we used of impact. So it might be kind of hard to see. I tried to go over the yellow markers with a marker that corresponds to the impact. So I see a lot of green on here, which is really good. That means that the numbers that we found after doing this kind of, it's simple, but there's many steps of this little math problem here. It's like when you're in high school, you've got like a word problem. This word problem here, doing the 4 different types of metrics to get that final biological assessment profile of the impact. Your first, so from below swim area to site number 8, are considered to be non-impacted by pollution, we'll just say pollution in general. That could be chemical pollution, that could be temperature pollution, too warm. These bugs we lovingly refer to as trout food, because trout and salmon that live in cold, well-oxygenated creeks love to eat this kind of stuff. So trout food, really affected by creeks that are warmed up and have low oxygen. I'm not sure why site number 3 does not have results. This is just what Adriana provided to me, and she couldn't remember either because this was from 2018. 9 and 10 did indicate that they have been slightly impacted, but nothing is moderate or severely impacted from 2018. So it'd be really interested now that it's been, what year is this? 25, so what, like 6, 7, 8 years, to not even necessarily go back to these exact sites, but monitor, do some sampling along the Fillmore Glen Creek and see what it's looking like now. Okay, next program is our Cayuga Lake Harmful Algal Bloom program. That is the one that I oversee. Last year was a record-breaking year, unfortunately. We had both our earliest and latest blooms reported to us. So the earliest was June 3rd, and the latest was October 28th. It was a very long season for myself. It was my first year. I started March 20th of last year. So I hit the ground running, sprinting, and I feel like I didn't really take a breath until November, or December, really, because after the season officially ended, I had lots of reporting and wrap up to do. But it was a very long season, and so not only did we have the earliest and latest bloom reported, we had the most blooms reported according to our records, which was 127 that could be verified. And then one piece of good news is we also had the most volunteers that we've had on record, which was over 100, including a new kind of volunteer, which was a drone operator, Nicholas Leonard. He is out of Union Springs. In September, we were having a very large bloom event going on that I started to figure out. It was one day in particular, it might have been September 19th, the same day this picture came from. I was getting probably close to 24 reports on this day. And I was like, what is going on out there in the world? Are these all isolated little blooms that are being reported? Or is this one large, like lake-wide, not the entire lake, but a section of lake, like shore to shore or covering a very large area? And so I went to Facebook and posted in a couple of Cayuga Lake, like community-wide groups. And I said, any drone operators out there who'd be willing to help? We're a nonprofit. I don't have a budget for this. Just looking to get a look at the lake, from above. And Nick with Nicholas Leonard Dronography has volunteered his services and been incredibly helpful and wonderful to work with. And so he took some pictures and videos for me and has agreed to work with us again this year, kind of as needed. But he sent me this picture, which I think is very impactful. It's beautiful. It's also horrible, but it's also pretty neat to see the pattern of the kayak paddler through the harmful algal bloom. This is at just outside of Frontenac Park in Union Springs. So the point of the program is to collect data on cyanobacteria blooms to protect public health. Many people source their drinking water. We have several municipal drinking water entities that suck water from Cayuga Lake in for public drinking water. We also have many, many people that have what are called beach wells. I'm assuming, well, I know that you have municipal water sourced from Owasco Lake. But perhaps you also have people who have beach wells that are sourcing water, private people directly from the lake as well. So there's a lot of public health concerns as well. So not just for drinking water, but for recreating, boating, swimming, for not just people, but their pets as well. And so the difference with our program as compared to many other monitoring programs around the state, we all pretty much follow the exact same protocol, which was set by the New York State DEC. We go a step further and we collect samples and we analyze them. The DEC is not doing that on a regular basis, and no other monitoring program, to our knowledge, is doing that on a regular basis. And I'll talk about what we're analyzing the samples for on the next slide. But what our volunteers do, we call our harmful algal bloom volunteers our HABs harriers. So like a harrier hawk, very watchful eye, keeping an eye on the lakeshore. They perform weekly surveys along the shoreline. If a suspected bloom is spotted, they will report it and then collect a sample. Samples are then brought to the lab and analyzed. And then there's several things that I have to do to get the word out there. We work very closely with Tompkins County Health, or Tompkins Whole Health Department, Cayuga County Health Department, and Seneca County Health Department. And they, in fact, are our main funders of our HAB monitoring program as well. So we work very closely with them to get the word out when and where blooms are occurring, and then what we discover as well in our from our analysis. So when the samples first arrive at our lab, I take a look at it under a microscope to identify, first of all, to confirm that there is cyanobacteria in the sample. So just a quick aside, for decades, for I don't know how long, perhaps over 100 years, this phenomenon has been referred to as a harmful algal bloom. It's because cyanobacteria, we didn't know what it was. When I say we, I mean the scientific community. We didn't know what it was when this phenomenon was just kind of being discovered and studied. Cyanobacteria is a weird kind of critter. Human beings, we like things to fit into nice, neat little boxes, right? And so this is a thing that doesn't fit into a nice, neat little box. It was first called algae, or algae was credited as being the cause of this, these toxic blooms, because it was green. And algae is a plant and has chlorophyll. Well, cyanobacteria also photosynthesizes like algae. And so it's a bacteria. Not all bacteria photosynthesize, and this one photosynthesizes, so it doesn't fit into a nice, neat little box. And so that's kind of where the confusion comes from. It is not algae. It is, in our case, on our lakes around the world and different on saltwater. There are, maybe you've heard of in Florida, the red tide. That is something similar. It's a toxic bloom, but it's not made up of algae or of cyanobacteria. That's a totally different thing, but similar, a bloom that creates a toxin that's dangerous to humans and animals. So I perform some microscopy by looking at the samples under the scope to confirm that it's not like pollen or duckweed or some other kind of bloom. There are other things that we do see occasionally that are not harmful, but look very similar. The two most common types of cyanobacteria, or genus of cyanobacteria, that we see on Cayuga Lake are Microcystis and Dolichospermum. Both of these create the toxin called microcystin. Microcystin is a hepatotoxin, which is a liver toxin. It affects our liver. Not to say that it won't also make you experience potential severe gastrointestinal issues. It can affect you affect your skin, and it can affect your respiratory system as well if you're breathing in the aerosol, like boating, tubing, windy day, water skiing, that kind of stuff. After I confirm that it is a harmful algal bloom with these cyanobacteria in it, the sample moves on in the process. It's out of my hands now and goes to our lab analysts who measure the chlorophyll A. That will tell us the density of the bloom, and then microcystin, which will tell us how toxic it is. And there are state limits of microcystin for recreation and for drinking water. And if their numbers exceed those, the state parks may close their beaches, their swimming beaches. Owasco Lake, I know last year there was I don't want to say a scare. There was no issue, but there was a microcystin reported in the drinking water that was just under the drinking water reporting limit. And it was reported as like, this is something that the public should be aware of, but it was not harmful. It was, you have to have a line of delineation somewhere, and it was still under the line of delineation, but it was at the line, and so it got reported, and it was a confusing thing that was unnecessary, but it's important. It's very important. Okay, Dana asked another question. I just want to make sure I answered it. So yes, we do test for the presence. So we only test for the presence of the microcystin, like I said. So there are a slew of toxins. Antitoxin, I mean, there's many. Like cyanobacteria is probably the most numerous living thing on Earth. It is the first living thing on Earth after the Big Bang. It is what started generating oxygen in our atmosphere, started photosynthesizing when our atmosphere was incompatible with life, oxygen breathing life, because there was no oxygen in the atmosphere. And so there are many different types of toxins, neurotoxins, I mean, many different toxins. And people are often confused. Like people who come into our lab and want to get their drinking water tested. They're like, I want to test for everything. There is no magical test where we can, like on the TV show CSI, where you put something in and boop, 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 press the buttons, and then you get this long receipt out with like all the testing reports of like everything you could want to know. It doesn't work like that. You have to test for individual things. And so the microcystin analysis is very specific, it's very expensive, and it's very time consuming. And that is what we are most concerned with, because it is the most abundant toxin that we are finding in the Finger Lakes. So that's what we're looking for. But there very well could be other ones present. We just haven't been looking for it because the cyanobacteria that create those toxins are not as common, and there's just not been a need yet, but not to say that we won't in the future. I think I'm going to skip over the database for now. Maybe I'll go to that at the end. Okay, here is a map and a little chart here just to show kind of years in comparison. So 2018 was the first year we started monitoring. For HABs that year, only 40 were detected, and then on up. We dropped after 2021. Not sure what happened there, but went from 80 to 127 from 23 to 24. And then at the very bottom, you can see in the legend there, the 0.3, it's the UG/L, that stands for micrograms per liter. And that is the drinking water limit. So if we find more than 0.4 micrograms per liter, that is considered very dangerous for drinking water. And you'll see that most of the blooms found that were tested in 2024 had a more than 4 micrograms per liter of the microcystin toxin found in them. So they were pretty toxic. Okay. I had mentioned kind of a few slides back when I was talking about the red flag program that we have other programs that may arise from need or interest. If we're approached by another group who is interested in, perhaps getting involved with us or partnering with us, like Seneca Lake Pure Waters Association, they came to us wishing to be a partner. They do the collection, they do the work, and that, manage the volunteers, but we're partnering with them and we do the water analysis. This is another really neat project that is just starting. The training for this is actually coming up in just a couple of weeks, so it's just getting kicked off. This is a partnership with the Al Hazard chapter of Trout Unlimited, and this will take place in the headwaters of Owasco Creek. So in, I guess, lower Tompkins County and upper Tioga County. This is a really neat partnership because, so my background is in wildlife management and biology, and I love whenever we can kind of work in some conservation action, especially when it has to do with some kind of wildlife. So this is a neat partnership with Trout Unlimited, and we will be working with volunteers to monitor these couple tributaries and creeks that run into Owasco Creek. This is a historical area where native trout once were known to spawn and was a very abundant historical fishing area, but now there is no fish, or at least none have been detected in many years. So Trout Unlimited came to us and said, can we work together? Can we look at the water? Can we see what's going on? Can we determine if this would be a good area to release some fish? We want to identify areas. And the good thing is that they want to release native wild trout, which are brook trout. Much of what the New York State DEC releases are brown trout, which are not a native species. I don't understand it personally. No one asked me for my opinion or my approval. But I love to see a conservation group who is interested in kind of restoring a native species, native population. So this will be very similar to our red flag program, whereas a lot of the analysis will be done streamside. They'll use those Lamont kits to do some analysis streamside, looking at pH, dissolved oxygen, conductivity, things that really matter to trout. Really kind of important things for water quality for that they need for excuse me, it's been a long day. Water quality indicators that make good habitat for trout. So all of this data that we're gathering, what do we do with it? It contributes to many different things. So we have been part of the Trumansburg wastewater plant getting major upgrades that they desperately needed. There was we've there just recently the phosphorus plan for Cayuga Lake came out. We submitted comments to that. We're often consulted as a professional, group, water professionals in the watershed or in the region. So we're consulted quite frequently for comments in our professional expertise. All of the data that I have skipped over it because I want to kind of wait till we get to the end, but all of our data makes its way onto our database, which is free and open to the public to access at any time. And this is something that goes along with our mission that we advocate and advocate for and want to empower community members to be data literate. So here some, I guess I can click over to there now. Here's some screen grabs from our database. So can everyone see? Hopefully, can you see the database? If you cannot, let me know. But this is our database. And you can see on the left-hand side here, we've got streams and lakes chemistry, got harmful algal blooms. and then our regional groundwater baseline. So this is like the red flag. And then we've also got these options here. You can download the data as well. So what you will see missing here is our biomonitoring data. That is a work in progress. We have a new, okay, you can see the link, but not the database. Okay, hold on a second. There. Hopefully you can see it now. We have a new database developer who is working on getting our biomonitoring data on our database. It's not as easy as we all thought, but or as we had hoped. The format that the data has been stored over the years in various spreadsheets, it needs to be reformatted a bit. So that's a work in progress, but our synoptic programs, let me click on that. You can see here all of our monitoring over time. Zoom in a little bit. Oh, okay, so, let me take that back. We do have some information here. But okay, so I guess we have the sites listed here, but not the data for the biomonitoring. So here is, let me go back. One of those sites. Here's that elementary school that I mentioned in 2021. The swimming area, the main entrance, and then we can see as we go upstream, 9, 10 is hiding behind there, 9, 10. But there's no, like, the results of the data is not attached to this yet. So they're working on it. Let me go over to harmful algal blooms really quickly. We have major updates to this. So let me just click on the year. So this is from like April of last year till today, all of the blooms. And what's neat about this is all of the colors are coincided with how I have entered them. So orange means it's a cyanobacteria bloom with a microcystin toxin concentration in between the drinking water limit of 3 micrograms per liter and the limit for contact recreation, which is 4 micrograms per liter. So as the color goes from blue to red, red is bad. Oops, let me zoom in here. So you can see we've got a lot of red on the map. Not all red, but we've got a lot of red on the map. This was our first, no, that's not our first. Am I missing? Oh, this must be it. Yep, this is it. This is our first bloom of the season. Last year, we did not collect a sample because it was outside of our sampling season. We follow the DEC protocol that starts July 1st. Let me go to one that has some data attached to it. So here, the microscopy, I found Dolichospermum and Microcystis, both those genus of cyanobacteria in the sample. Microcystis was the dominant one. I found more of that. And then here, check this out. Drinking water limit is 3 micrograms per liter, and the recreation contact is 4 micrograms per liter. This is 1,065. Would you want to drink this or something like this? Probably not. So this is why this is really important. I mean, visually, yes, obviously, I probably know most people, you'd look at this and be like, I'm not swimming in that. You probably are not going to be seeing this if you have a beach well or a municipal water source. They're going to be drawing water from very deep. And most of the time, these are surface level blooms, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't get into a water source. And so knowing this is very good information. Yeah, yikes. I agree, Teresa. I think that was Teresa. Yeah, Teresa. And the chlorophyll also off the charts, just crazy. But you can see with your own eyes how green and thick that is. This is like pea soup This is like a green smoothie that you'd buy in like Los Angeles for like $30. Like a really like super healthy green smoothie. Don't drink it, but you know, that's what it looks like to me. When I get those samples in, we use amber glass jars. That's what is mandated by the certified analysis that we use. I like tip it and it's just thick and frothy. Really, really yucky. Okay. Just want to confirm again, I've switched back to the PowerPoint. Are you only seeing the slides? You're not seeing my notes?
We can see your notes.
Okay. Then I hate when this happens. That's why I didn't want to go. That's why I didn't want to navigate out of the PowerPoint. Just a minute. Okay. And then I just turned on captions and subtitles. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Let's see. Let's keep going. Okay. Now to talk about our fee-for-service water testing. So this is the general public can bring in their water test. People walk in our doors all day long, every day. Most of it is their drinking water, but we also have clients, various municipal water systems, colleges, universities, all sorts of different businesses, wineries, breweries, all sorts of different places bring us water. The state parks, in the campgrounds, you know, in the spring they have to open up and the campgrounds will have like drinking water, like drinking water faucets, or they'll have spigots where you can get water for your camping. We'll test all that water, the beach water for swimming, even at I can't remember if we do Fillmore Glen, but the state parks around the Ithaca area, even if it's not on the lake, like Robert H. Treman State Park, their swimming area, we test that water, not for harmful algal blooms, but for things like E. coli. So we have lots of different different types of clients and different water that we're testing all the time. We had a huge year last year, which was not helped. We had the most general public water samples come in than we ever had before, and it was not helped by the fact that a major lab in Syracuse shut down last year. It was great business, but it was very, very business, very busy for us. So here are some of the things that we offer in-house, total coliform and E. coli. That's basic potability. A lot of this stuff is things that we test are the surface water or environmental samples for as well. Not all of it, but some of it is. And then upon request, we can get, I don't want to say any water test you're searching for. We do subcontract with another lab in the area it's a bigger lab and they have more capacity. For heavy metals, PFAS, pesticides, things like that. But the difficulty with things like pesticides and PFAS is that pesticides, that word, and PFAS refer to many, many, many different things within that category. So people will come in, like I said earlier, and be like, I want to test for pesticides. We don't have a magical pesticides test. You have to know specifically like what is it? Glycophosphate, whatever Roundup is. I can never remember what it is specifically, but that specifically, you know, to test for the levels of that in your drinking water. PFAS, there's thousands of different chemicals, compounds in PFAS that are considered PFAS, which are forever chemicals that exist in the environment now. And so you really got to know specifically what you're looking for. And usually when people are asking for those things, we ask why. Like, why do you want to know? What's the reason? They're also very, very expensive, those more complicated ones, like hundreds, pushing thousands of dollars. So usually when we tell people that, they're like, oh, okay, never mind. What can I do? What else can I do then? And we start people off with basic potability, maybe nitrate and nitrite. If you have agriculture around your home, like active crops, whether it might be applying different pesticides or fungicides, herbicides, if there's manure being spread on a field near you, all those things are good to look for if you have well water. If you have municipal water, all that should be tested. It is being tested, is being cleaned, and you can request an annual water report from your municipality. I believe they all put them out at least once a year, so you should be able to get that from them, from wherever you live. Whoever your municipal water source is, they should be able to give that to you if you're interested in learning more about it. On our website, which I have lost my notes now, so I have the links and I can share them with you who are interested. But to get to this web page specifically on our website, we have frequently asked questions that people ask us all the time and want to know about. We pride ourselves on not just being a business, but we want to be kind of well-rounded, educational. We want to help calm people's fears. We do run a business, but we are not a for-profit business. So we're not interested. Those people who are like, I want to get pesticide testing, instead of just selling them something for the sake of taking their money, we really want to educate and understand what the concerns are and why, and then work out the solution that makes the most sense for the client. One of our goals over the last year or so has been our water testing assistance fund. We believe that everyone should have the ability and the access to knowing what is in their drinking water. And the basic potability test, for example, which looks at total coliform and E. coli, that's $50. And unfortunately, that can be groceries for someone or a tank of gas for someone. And I've had a client in front of me. She came in to pick up sample bottles, and once she learned the price, she handed them back to me and was like, never mind, I can't do it. And we were able to help her out with a private donation that kind of kicked off this whole idea, but it was a very small donation of a couple $100s, and it didn't last long. Because of the cost of running the test. So this is something that we're really working towards, having a fund that is able to assist folks with getting their water analyzed. Oh, good question. Standard plate count, Dana asked. Standard plate count is a bacterial test that kind of just looks at, it shows any bacteria that's in the water, but they're not considered nuisance bacteria or harmful, or they can be nuisance bacteria, but not harmful. So total coliform and E. coli are harmful and can cause great health issues and could be fatal. We all have total coliform E. coli in our bodies right now. They live in the gut of warm-blooded animals. It's when they become out of balance and excessive, or you have a compromised immune system, you're very young, you're very old, kind of those normal things that we hear about people picking up different illnesses that can make someone very sick or be fatal. The standard plate count looks at other bacteria. So when I say nuisance bacteria, if you ever get a smell in your water, oftentimes that is bacteria that likes iron, and it's eating the iron in your water, and the byproduct is a smell. they're nuisance. They're not really going to hurt you. It might leave, you know, the iron in your water is going to probably leave staining in your toilet bowl and your sink and your shower maybe, but it's not hurtful. The thing about this standard plate count, I just used this analogy with someone today. There's no way for us, when we're looking at the little petri dish, there's no way for us to know that these 3 colonies are this type of bacteria and these are, you know, these are this kind. There's no labels, and the colonies look like little blotches. There's no way to differentiate what is what. So it's like if I was to have a bird's eye view of a zoo, I would just see that there's 100 animals there, getting a standard count of the zoo. There's 100 animals. It doesn't really help me, except if I want to know that there's 100 animals in the zoo, but I won't know how many zebras or tigers or whatever, you know, that I won't get kind of a breakdown of the individuals. So sometimes people will use that for swimming pools. It's not for drinking water. Sometimes for effluent water, like wineries will have effluent water. So after the winemaking process, there's water that's not used, or you know, there's wastewater. They want to know how much bacteria is going out in the wastewater. Don't need to know necessarily what specific kinds, but how much bacteria is. So that's kind of the brief answer of what standard plate count is. I hope that was helpful. Okay. Why do we offer drinking water analysis? It's needed. Certified labs are few and far between. We are the only one that offers services like this in Tompkins County. There are labs in Tompkins County that do their own analysis, but they don't offer it as a service. Like there are labs on Cornell's campus. There are, like, the City of Ithaca wastewater treatment. They're certified to do some analysis of the wastewater that's going out into the environment, but they're not offering those services to the public. So this is a service that is very much needed. And like I mentioned earlier, a very large lab closed in Syracuse earlier this year or last year. And it's just a service that is needed when you're moving. If you're selling or buying a home, this is often part of the process, that you need to make sure your water is potable if there's a well. And so we get a lot of those clients in, realtors or buyers or sellers coming in. Like I mentioned, we really pride ourselves on not just selling the service, but educating folks on what they're doing and why, and understanding the whole process, and trying to fit everyone's individual needs and budget, because it can be very costly very quick. And then this is about 50% of our budget. It's our bread and butter. It's what keeps us going. And it's great, especially in these times right now of, you know, we're a nonprofit. Federal funding is not reliable because of the current administration. Many nonprofits are scrambling, trying to figure out what they're going to do, because funding has been taken away, has been paused, has been slowed down. And so being able to generate some of our own internal funding will sustain us. Dana, I'm not sure if I want to advertise with the lab that lost its cert. You could probably Google it and figure it out. I don't, it's kind of a big story, or not a big story. It's a big deal. It wasn't like a clerical error. There was some nefarious behavior going on, and they deserve to, in my opinion, lose their certifications. And so, it's unfortunate because it's a service that's needed, but, you got to do your due diligence and do your paperwork and do the tests that people are paying you for. So, we are happy to fill in those gaps and take care of the clients that need our assistance. For more information, if you want to learn more about like what it means to be a certified lab, in our 2023 edition of our water bulletin, which can be accessed on our website, there's a digital version. There's a great article in there that was written by, I believe it was written by Grace. So not Grayson, our executive director, but the young lady who was in my role previous to me, Grace, I believe wrote this article, what it means to be a certified lab. Samples can be dropped off 9 to 5 Monday, or excuse me, pick up. We're open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but samples can only be dropped off Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We are open on Fridays, but with the way we run analysis on testing samples, some of them run 24 hours, and so we don't start, excuse me, anything on Fridays because we like to go home on the weekends. Okay, last, outreach and education. So the real highlight of this is our Journey of Water Summer Youth Education Series. It runs June through September, October. This Journey of Water is a play on words, and it's both physical journey, educational journey. So we want to, it's free and open to the public. It's supported by the Park Foundation. And we invite children and their families to participate in programming. There's 12 programs that will take us on a journey of water throughout the Cayuga Lake watershed. We partner with Discover Cayuga Lake, which has the floating classroom. We go out on the boat to collect lake samples. The kids are actually part of our synoptic lake monitoring program. So we collect samples and which get analyzed in our lab. We do biomonitoring with them, which they're actually part of collecting real data that gets analyzed. I did a program at Montezuma National Wildlife Refuge last year because I used to work at Montezuma, and wetlands are a huge part of watersheds. We do tours of drinking water facilities, treatment facilities, as well as wastewater. And what else? I don't know. It's really fun. The kids have a blast, and it's not just the kids, the parents too have a great time. And we are just putting together our 2025 schedule. We try to get out and about and do lots of different outreach opportunities. I am the harmful algal bloom program coordinator, but I also am outreach and programs coordination. So I do lots of outreach at community events. Last year, Grayson was giving a presentation at the Cayuga Lake Watershed Network Community Conference. Over on the right-hand side, that's Adriana. She was giving a presentation. She did a little pilot study about a different and a new and emerging, it's not new type of harmful algal bloom, these clumps that form, but we are newly studying it. So we did a little pilot study last year, and she was presenting her research at the Finger Lakes Research Conference back in February, I believe. And then down in the right-hand corner, lower right-hand corner, this was an event called a Data Jam, which was, I was not working at CSI yet, but we were looking to do this program again. This was getting people together in a room with computers to explore the database and start learning how to interpret the data, what it means, what the connections between the different analytes are, like what's the connection between dissolved oxygen and temperature and conductivity and chloride and E. coli and chlorophyll, or what are the connections? Are there connections? If this is up, does this mean that this is down? Is a stream, is Taganic Creek healthy and good? What does that mean? Is it subjective? Is it objective? So it was apparently a very well attended and well received event, and we want to do that again later this year. We have like 6 or 7 outreach events this spring. It's a very busy spring. We have various educational materials. I mentioned the water bulletin. That is an annual publication that gets put out every year. So 2024 is out. And then also we have these online learning materials. We have fact sheets that have been created by various staff members about all these different things that I've been talking about, the different tests that we do, what are they in the environment, what are the implications, what kind of tests do we do, what's the chemistry behind it. Really, really kind of, I don't want to say simplified, like the information has been dumbed down, but it's been formatted in a way that's pretty easy to digest and pretty applicable to like environmental things and things that you might encounter in your day-to-day life. So it's not like these kind of obtuse concepts. Because I remember being in chemistry myself, and sometimes those concepts and things are like hard to understand. And then also on the right-hand side here is our monthly updates that I send out every month. I'm working on our March email now. It goes out in the first month or first week of the month for the following month. And I can share a link if you'd like to get signed up for that to get our emails. So of course, we want to acknowledge our dedicated volunteers. I just added a new volunteer opportunity this winter. We have volunteers coming in to help us wash bottles, which is so helpful. This is one of my harmful algal bloom Habs Harriers, Sally. She's bored in the wintertime because she's not monitoring, and she said she'd love to come in and help learn how to wash bottles because we have standard operating procedures. It's very regimented how we have to do it. It's not hard, but very regimented, and she's been a great help learning how to do that. Our CSI members who have become donors and help support the cause, our past and present staff, local governments that contribute financially and support us in many different ways throughout the year. And then list of partners, which this is not exhaustive. There's many, many more I could include, but these are some of the major players that help us. I mean, there's 9 staff members and 5 of us are full-time, but it's all these others that help us get the work done. So if you have a smartphone, you could scan this little QR code here, and that's a way you could sign up for our monthly email updates. You can follow us on social media. You could also contact me if you're interested about any of the things I talked about, and I can either work with you one-on-one if it's something that I'm involved with, or I can help you find the right person at CSI, like Adriana. She is willing to discuss biomonitoring opportunities in the Owasco Lake Watershed if there are people who are interested. It's like I said, a really fun way to get out into the field, into the stream, I guess I should say, and collect data. There's no experience needed. She will teach you everything you need to know, and it's a really fun way to get connected to the environment and the community. Also with our synoptic stream and lake monitoring program, it is a potential that we could partner down the road. We can't supply volunteers, but if I know that you guys, from what I understand is Owasco Lake, your watershed association perhaps already does some tributary monitoring. But if you ever decided you wanted to get those samples analyzed at our lab, we could perhaps, work out an agreement and a partnership to do that as well. We are not hesitant to take more things on. We're just trying to be strategic about what we do take on because we, are limited in staffing and capacity, but for things that come with equally excited and energetic people, projects that come with excited and energetic people who, believe in the same things we believe in, we really want to work with folks like that. So I see something in the chat here. Oh, thank you so much, Ginny and Dana. I'd like to invite everyone to, you're welcome to come on camera if you'd like, or, come off of mute. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free. That is the conclusion of my presentation about the Community Science Institute.
Alyssa, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I think that there is some interest in our group and in the community in collaborating with you folks. And I'm particularly charmed by the Journey of Water educational series, I think. And I believe that the Fillmore Creek is in the Owasco watershed, so
It
you were
is.
working with the Moravia kids on that, but maybe that can be expanded to other communities around the
Oh
Owasco
yeah,
Lake.
that prior biomonitoring that happened in the Fillmore Glen Creek, that was just the only kind of monitoring that we've done in the Owasco Lake watershed previously. So I wanted to share that, but um, there could be biomonitoring done. I don't want to say anywhere else in the Owasco Lake watershed, but it doesn't have to be in that creek there. It could be elsewhere. Adriana, there's certain criteria that a creek or a stream needs to have to be a good sampling location, and Adriana would be the one to go over that with interested people. But it doesn't have to be there. It could be, might be interesting to sample there again, but new locations are also possibilities.
Teresa, did you have a question about the Lake Friendly Living project?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Alyssa.
My
This
pleasure.
great presentation. So, OWLA is part of the Lake Friendly Living Day, in May, and we're looking to do an event on the 17th of May, and would be interested if your folks were, Adriana, I think you said,
Adriana, yeah.
might come out and do the bio measurement or
Mhm.
sampling,
Biomonitoring.
biomonitoring for that. And it might be a good way to just introduce people generally. I mean, one of the things we're hoping is that we can do some activities and bring in new people who might be interested in continuing over the long term.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you got it already, but I'm gonna just put my email address in the chat here.
Right.
Why don't you send me an email with pretty much what you just said? And I will, chat with Adriana and I'll connect you to her. I have no idea what her schedule looks like. But that is, absolutely a possibility. And are you having do you have an event planned already?
Yes, we have an event in the planning stages. We've got the basic outlines of it.
Where is it going to be held?
It will be at the top of the lake at the
Okay.
park,
At Emerson?
Emerson Park. It's going to involve work on the rain garden, led by Kim, and probably also some water sampling from our water sampling group. And this would be an additional piece. And it could be, as short or as long as made sense.
Okay. Yeah, send me an email and I will connect you.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, and because you just said Emerson Park, I just realized that I didn't click one more slide because uh, Nick Leonard took this really cool picture of Emerson Park, the pier at Emerson Park, with his drone, and it was on my last slide. I just wanted to. I thought that the previous slide was my last one, but this is actually my last one, so I just want to share it because it's a really pretty picture.
Just last week.
Yeah, just last week.
Yeah. It's great. Does anyone else, excuse me, I'm croaky. Does anyone else have a question for Alyssa? No? All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and it was a very informative presentation. I
pleasure.
can't talk. It's too late at night.
I hear you. It's been a long day. Well, thank you so
Uh,
much for inviting us, and I'm glad that I was able to come on in Grayson's stead. She was doing a training today, and then she has a presentation tomorrow, I think. And so we were just dividing and conquering, and I know she would have liked to present because she does live in the watershed and she's a member, but there's only so many hours in a day, and so we're
Yep.
just
Well, we
talking up
really
CSI.
appreciate you
she was in Geneva
That-
this afternoon, and so yeah, we're all over the
Oh,
place.
wow. Yeah, yeah, she is an OWLA member,
Mhm.
which is great. As soon as she moved into the watershed, she joined OWLA, so that
Mhm.
was a very good thing for her to do. Thank you again for jumping in and doing that for us, and we will let you go, and we'll all go home and get the rest I think we're all needing here.
Okay. Well, you guys
Bye,
have my contact
everyone.
information, so please reach out if you have any questions or you know would like to be connected to Adriana or want to learn more about a monitoring program. Okay.
I think if, and not just for the lake friendly living, but I think there is interest in some programs for young people in the watershed, and maybe we can talk with Adriana about that sometime. So
Yeah, we actually are just starting a partnership with is it the Forest Learning Collective? Is anyone familiar with them? I know Ann Clark is. So they are a
did you say
homeschool
fourth or forest?
forest.
Forest, okay.
Yeah. Um, they're not a homeschool group. They're like an unschooled group. So it's kids that don't go to public school and their parents may be working during the work week, during the day. And so this is a group of homeschooled kids that get together a couple days a week, I think. And so their director reached out to us recently. And they're located in the Groton, Freeville area. But they have access to the Owasco, like a wetland in the Owasco Flats. And so we're going to be doing some programming with them this
Yeah.
spring and fall. So
And is it at the Owasco Nature Reserve, the Owasco Flats Nature Reserve? Do you know? Off
I
38.
think so. Wherever they have access to is like
Yep.
special access that nobody else has access to, or they've been granted permission to go there.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, that's a new partnership for us, going in a new direction, like physical direction, going east. And so we're looking forward to that.
Yep.
Building connection.
That's right down the road from my house. So
Okay.
thank you.
You're very
Again.
welcome. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, Alyssa.